won't know what ate them. In the shadows, they'll never see me. Slice them apart, limb from limb. Isolate and devour. Consume and adapt. Evolve and overcome. This world is delicious.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Kha'zix Guide. In this video, you will learn about Kha'zix as a jungler, his role in early, mid, and late game, and how he functions as an overall champion. But before we start, I want to make it known that Kha'zix is what I consider to be an opportunity champion, meaning that Kha'zix can take advantage of those who are alone and put them to the ground. It is because Kha'zix is one of those who thrives on enemy isolation does he succeed tremendously. But like any good champion, he also has his flaws. But after this guide, you will know how he works as a champion and minimize those mistakes in order to get the win. Now let's take a look at his abilities to get a better understanding of our bug friend. Kha'zix's passive, Unseen Threat, is something that is used when the enemy champion is unable to see you. You get a bonus damage that does a little bit of magic damage and it causes a slow. This is essentially ideal for having to chase players that are running away from you or just kind of see you for the first time. So be sure that if you're going to use Unseen Threat, that you truly are unseen. Taste Their Fear, his Q ability, allows Kha'zix to do attack damage that increases when his target is isolated. This is indicated by a ring around the enemy champion. So ideally, you want to hit your target that is isolated from anyone else that may intervene because it is in fact the bread and butter of Kha'zix. If you choose to evolve his Q, it will allow much more damage to be brought on by his Q, and it actually increases the Q range. As I'm about to demonstrate here, you can see the damage difference between both the original Q and the evolved Q. This is ideal because not only are you going to be catching your targets alone, but because it does such a massive amount of damage and its range increase, so targets won't necessarily be able to run from you. Ultimately, this is what I consider to be one of the best abilities of Kha'zix. Void Spikes is a ranged ability that is mainly used for both poke and slow. While the spikes themselves perform 80 damage, they also provide a small heal for Kha'zix if he is near the explosion's proximity. This ability is super useful because he is able to heal, which is useful for keeping jungle sustain or sustaining in fights, and even a slow, which is helpful when ganking if it hits the enemy champion. So in a way, this ability proves extremely important in various situations, which we will go over later on in the video. By the way, I noticed I said useful twice in the same sentence, which is kind of redundant, so I'm going to stop being a filthy neckbeard and actually say what I mean and mean what I say, okay? Let's continue. If you choose to evolve W, it makes it so that instead of shooting a singular skill shot, which is one spike, you shoot in a cone that's consistent of 3 spikes. It increases the slow, the damage, and the heal are the same, but it's very useful for poking. So if you have one of those large team fights that's about to happen, and you can't really isolate someone, Spikes is perfect, so that way you can poke them, and it still hits pretty hard and widespread all across their group. His E is pretty straightforward. You use it to get around the map a lot easier and jump over obstacles, but there's another aspect to that whole entire E ability. You can also use it to jump on unsuspecting foes for AD damage, and pretty much do the business. That's just the way it works. I'll show you how it's done in the video. But let's suppose that you try to jump over a big obstacle to get your target or to run away. I can't really do that because of the short range. However, if you choose to evolve his E, he can leap over in greater distances, which makes it ideal for assassinating, getting in team fights, and overall maneuverability in the entire Summoner's Rift. And it's really nice, trust me. And if you happen to kill your opponent, that leap resets. So think of it kind of like a Tristana sort of deal. You want to be able to kill as many people and maneuver around. It's really nice. Void Assault is an ability in which you can go invisible for a short duration and it gives you increased movement speed. Why this would be important is because suppose that if they're trying to auto attack you, you can break off that auto attack. If you choose to evolve your R, you get another charge of the invisibility and it increases in duration by 1 second. Now the reason I say that this is important is because that you're able to get the upper hand on your opponent via juking, fighting, etc. But be wary though, because like all invisible champions, you still can get hit. So be sure to move as you're fighting. And if anything, this ability alone has saved many more Kha'zix lives than you can possibly count. It's a very good ability. So now that we got the abilities down pat, now for the best part, or shall I say the meatiest part of the entire guide. Some of you have already seen my guides, and if you're new to the guide, I'm not somebody that's going to tell you something and then just give the pros and cons and what to do. I'm actually going to demonstrate. In about a minute here, we're going to go ahead and kick off the video with a match that I have played as Kha'zix. And as the match is progressing along, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the things that I'm doing, the things that, you know, what I feel is right or is wrong, etc, etc. And the purpose behind this is so that people can kind of get a really good understanding of how, you know, Kha'zix is played, the mentality, if you will, and every game is always going to be situational. I know that one build may not be the same as the next, or maybe it might be, who knows, but if you are staying tuned by this far, I mean, congratulations, now we're going to get to the best part. So, alright, so the match is about to begin, and if you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below down in the comments. Let's go ahead and begin the Kha'zix guide. Alright, welcome. This is a sample match that I have played while playing around with Kha'zix and, you know, just kind of getting all that stuff done. So, here we go. So, early game, it is the objective of Kha'zix to go through here and basically get as much farm as possible. You know, it's kind of an obvious thing, yes, but at the same time, you're learning to gank at the same time because either their enemy jungler is going to get alone or that, you know, suppose top is isolated. It's learning to kind of counterbalance the both, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like how a regular jungle is, it's just one of those fundamentals. But with Kha'zix, you really want to make sure that you know where everybody is at. And for starters, I'm going to start with red. People can start blue. I generally like starting Q first. But I have found that starting W first in terms of like if you want to sustain or that you're hitting it, it's either or, but you will be maxing out your Q because we're gonna evolve Q first, all the way until we evolve it and then just boom, okay? And with that being said, the goal is for me to go through here and make sure that I'm kind of isolating everybody, you know, at the right time and just kill them. That's pretty much how your thought should be. But one thing to note is that you don't want to spend too much time in the jungle. So be sure that if you are playing Kha'zix, you're not spending all day long in the jungle. At some point, you have to come out. Preferably, I would advise you guys to get wards and then ward the map, especially in the enemy jungle. And if you see that they're kind of running low or that somebody's running away out of top, let's say, and then just enters in the jungle, go ahead and just kill them. So let me explain why I got Q first. I just picked it, you know, it's either or with Q or W. I personally don't notice the significance. And why I start red? I start red because it's really nice being able to have that kind of a attack going. You know, I can just auto without any worry. And Q is nice, and it doesn't really require that much mana, so that's why I don't really go for the blue first. I mean, you can use W if you start blue, and Q if you start red. And I think that's a very safe thing to say. So now we're going to come on over to wolves, and this is kind of like the standard jungle route. We don't get the birds, because birds is hard as hell, apparently, so they made it so that if you go straight to birds after you take a buff, it's going to hit like a son of a gun. So we're going to go ahead and get W second, which I told you guys earlier that you get a little bit of a heal in the explosion radius, which is really nice for my sustain. So once we kill this big wolf, I'm going to go ahead and start using the health pots, because running a tad low, you know, but I don't want to make sure that, actually, I want to make sure that I'm nice and healthy for when I'm taking blue. I ward it, make sure that nobody's sitting there waiting for me, and let us begin. So I'm just kind of, you know, taking blue. You can take the big one first or the little ones. It doesn't really matter. And if some of you have already noticed that I didn't take the frog or the little golem people, I kind of like keeping it classic, you know. I mean, it's a jungle preference. I mean, I could be right, could be wrong. It's up for you to interpret. But as long as you're kind of, you know, getting these abilities down pat. And as you can see, I just took that out, so I want to go ahead and back. And then, let's see what I do here. Then I get the E. And the reason is because the E, because I said it had mobility, I want to be sure that, you know, let's say that somebody enters into my jungle, that I can kind of leap away, if you will. The W slows, and then I get out successfully. So now it's going to be kind of hard to counter jungle me, you know, as Kha'zix, because I have that escape, and I have the flashes. I have everything going for me right now. So now we're going to kind of transition over down to birds, and then hopefully we can take that, and then get a gank soon. So as you can see, it's really nice. One thing you guys, one thing everyone has to notice is that when you do use W, it doesn't, like, let's say I hit so-and-so targets, it doesn't increase heal. You just, as long as you're within the explosion radius, you get that particular heal, and not, let's say, oh, 4 times, you know, the amount of explosion that they got hit. It's just one big general explosion. So they made sure that the sustain isn't that crazy. So we're going to go ahead and take this here, big one, and boom, got it. Now I want to start getting towards my Q, because I'm going to tell you right now, trust me on this one, get your Q first, get it all the way maxed out. If you're a Kha'zix top, let's say, you would want to get W for poke. I don't really know how you do it, but alright, we see that there's a situation going on top, but that cannot be helped. She's going to get dunked and just escapes. I totally forgot she was escaping. So, at this point, we see that she's low. We see that she's not going to be able to do much. But I don't know if ganking her is the right thing to do, because she can just escape all the time, and she can just juke. Ezreal's not listening, and he got the kill, but it doesn't really matter. But you can kind of see how we want to set that up, kind of lure them into that false sense of security. And you can tell that that nobody warded with mid or top is because, you know, LeBlanc was heading down, kind of heading back towards lane. She was healing pots. She didn't really see everything going on. But remember, guys, like with Kha'zix, you are kind of at a little bit of a vulnerable stage. I wanted to do like the cycle called the larva stage, the adolescent stage, and the adult phase of Kha'zix, kind of make it all bug featured, but this is whatever, don't really care. And alright, so you can see how the W is helping me, but the Q is gonna matter a lot, because when I hit the 6, you're gonna see that damage spike go like way up there, and we're gonna take this damage, this early game damage that is really, really high, and we're gonna apply it to their face. It's gonna be great. Bring your popcorn, it's all wonderful. So let's go ahead and kill this frog right here. And boom. Now, back off. We're still going to the Q. Ain't nobody deriving off of anything else. Just go straight to Q. You're about to see some wicked damage here in a moment, okay? I get boots of mobility is because mobility is such an important thing for a jungler. And I know for certain that the other one that I have, the blue one, we're going to get the attack one, because it's kind of a standard armor pen, which is really nice for Kha'zix. As a matter of fact, he'll get armor pen later on. But generally, with the two items, I can make it so that I can catch up to them quickly in lane, just like by getting there, and I can slow them if they try to run, plus my Q, so everything works out in the end. It's so fantastic. So, I'm not going to smite it, or I do, rather, sorry. Like I said, it's been a while ago since I played this, and I don't even know my own match, so everybody buckle up for this one, as I'm just going to commentate, just pretty much all the shit I don't do, and I say I do, but never happens, so we're off to a great start. Now, as you can see, I'm making sure that I'm nice and sustained. I ain't even scared. Not gonna flinch. Bitches flinch. And if you're a bitch, you flinch, jungle. But also at the same time, you want to make sure that when you are a little bit lower, that you get the hell up out of there. And once we complete the Enchantment Warrior one, we want to start heading towards a Ravenous Hydra, because it is so superb in jungle, and it's sustained so that you can get the health regen, the lifesteal. it's practically like a very good item. But keep in mind though, you can see that top lane is pushed. I don't need to go there. Mid, even if it was pushed to like his lane, it wouldn't be the smart idea because she could just stun and make me disappear like that. But bot's doing well. I'm gonna kind of give bot a chance to see if maybe it can handle it on its own. But right now, I just need to keep on buff control and just really kind of watch the map. LeBlanc disappears, and it makes me nervous, but I know that Ezreal's looking fine, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that LeBlanc actually got completely wrecked by the Ezreal, which is great. Now we're going to go straight for the kill. Now this thing's going to hit, and uh-oh, I see LeBlanc up there. Uh-oh, they're both really low. So this is what we're going to do here. Let's ward, let's be patient. I'm not going to fight that full Sejuani. And we want to help out the Vayne. Boom. That little chunk of health, gone. Disappeared. I don't even know. A fucking Houdini over here. Just poof. Shit disappears. I don't know what else to tell you. Boom again. And now we got 2 kills out of that. I want everybody to understand, fundamentally, that's Kha'Zix in a nutshell. You kind of wait until they're like alone or that, you know, they're really kind of, you know, that's why bot lane ganks aren't exactly the kind of the best ganks. I mean, you help out bots, sure, but you want to shoot for that isolation because that Q alone, if I didn't demonstrate just now how hard that Q hits, I don't know what else to tell you, man, because it is some pretty unreal stuff right there. So now we're going to go ahead and get our blue so that we can cast W a lot more. We can cast a lot of our abilities more. Ezreal's fine on mana right now. He's not really going too ham. Oh, well, he wants it. Totally fine. Hey, if the mid asks for it, be a gentleman. Let him have it. So, help him out. That's good for the cast spam, blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to get back on it. So remember, as you're farming, you're kind of watching. You want to make sure that people are, in fact, alone. The difference being, like, let's say with Jarvan or, like, Trundle and stuff, how Kha'Zix is different from any other jungler. Kha'Zix, as I said in the earlier part of the video, is kind of an opportunistic champion. He'll wait for you. He will sit in that brush. His mouth is going to drool all up in the place. It's fucking nasty, but you know what? By the end of it all, if you get near him, he is going to absolutely wreck you, which is really good for that kind of later part of early game, because the original early game, like the beginning part of it, he's kind of, you know, doing his own thing. He's making sure that nobody's kind of entering his jungle, and that's how you should view it too. Just make sure that you're warding or that you're just kind of really getting a feel for how things are going to be played in the flow, like if top is feeding or is excelling or etc, etc. So, alright, now that we got that item, I just want to go ahead and save up for the longsword, which I'm going to do right about now. And if you can get damage first, great, but I would honestly suggest that if you're able to get that little bit of regen, which is nice. So you can see bot getting in trouble. Okay, and they're running off. One's dead, but she is by herself. See, it don't even matter. I'm heading there. She is by herself. But they managed to handle it. So in which case, Dragon. You need to get Dragon. Because Dragon and Kha'Zix is like, the fuck, man? My brain just cannot handle this right now. But first, let's go ahead and deal with this LeBlanc. Right there, see? Circle. I know she's going to be safe in her little cozy. Just so everything's fine. What's up, baby? Be sure to type that in all chat as soon as that happens. Be like, what's up, baby? But in all seriousness, though, you can kind of see buff transfer complete. Do you get it, guys? Do you understand what's going on here? It's the waiting game. It's coming in, and the more kills that you get before some of you say cleanup. Watch. This is why you get kills. Right here. Boom. I fucking hate you, Riven. I do. Man, Rivens are so OP, dude. But in all seriousness, though, the more you get, like, fed, the harder you can hit, which makes, like, ganking or that, you know, team fighting, kind of that isolation damage really possible. And, again, that's what you want to shoot for. You want to shoot for that kind of Rengar mentality. Just kind of stock up on your prey. Really kind of creep in there. All nice and steady, and they're just walking by, and then boom, disappears. Now in mid game, because they start grouping, this is where things actually start to, you know, really kind of fade out a little bit, this is where mistakes start happening. People get cocky and then just run on in there like, oh, I'm Kha'Zix, I'm fed, I don't know, whatever. Kha'Zix Kha'Zix is really, really susceptible to like any kind of stun, CC. If he gets shut down, it's gonna get completely nasty. So, in which case, what you want to do is you want to start warding. But right now it's not mid-game, so let's go ahead and wait for our chance here. There's Sejuani, but hey, she's alone. Your heal didn't even matter. So I'm going to use Void Assault to kind of get mobility going. Thank you, Thresh. There you go. I wonder, can we escape this? It's best not to mess with LeBlanc. There you go. Now, LeBlanc is low, but guys, like I said, do not be cocky. If you know that there's a champion that can outmaneuver you, don't do it, because she will wreck your face. Like, I've seen LeBlancs come out of, like, let's say 10% health. It's learning to pick your battles, when to gank, and such. Ezreal got the kill. Great. Now we can go to Dragon. Because, again, that damage buff is superb. And it's 6-0. All that gold, that damage is going to keep on rolling in. See what I'm saying? In a way, it's like Snowball, but in another sense, it's kind of like, you know, letting them think that they can't be alone, which is good. You know what I'm saying? So, and for some of you that are going to ask, you know, oh, can he build tanky or fighter? I mean, I would recommend it for that sort of deal. But for now, I'm going into a Ravenous Hydra and then potentially other damaging items because I want that damage to snowball. They don't really have much movement except LeBlanc. But in which case, yeah, so as for the whole fighter thing, excuse me, I want to like go Black Cleaver, Randuins, Banshees, you know, the works kind of a deal. However it is you do it. But with Kha'Zix, however, if you feel as though you're excelling in kind of these ganks, isolation, solo kind of deals, and you can see that Vayne is doing excellent. It's probably because of the ganks, probably because of her skill, maybe a little bit of both. You don't know, I don't know. You don't know, and I don't know. But whatever happened is working. And that's why ganks are important, especially as Kha'Zix, because, like I said, you just want to catch them off. So it's going to head around mid-game, okay? Now the goal is, right here, is that I kind of want them to think that I'm lurking or that I'm taking control of the map. So you can see LeBlanc kind of just doing her own thing. Jump. She ran off. That's fine. If she didn't get it at all, that's okay. If you guys don't get the gank, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. It's like mental games, okay? I want her to know that I'm coming for her ass. If she's low and just out and about, she needs to know I'm coming for that piece of ass. See? She can't do it. She can't do it if she tried. So at this point, you can build like a Banshee's Veil, you know, kind of deny LeBlanc. But as I say, why stop the funk? You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and get that Riven. I fucking hate Riven. And right there. Did you see that? See that right there? She could have chilled out bot. She could have backed there. I mean, Vayne was not made to tower dive, okay? But she knew. She knew right then and there that I was going to come for that piece of ass. And I was going to stick my claws in. That's Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix is a mobile assassination heavy burst champion. 200 damage. To that crab alone, I did 457. That's pretty gnarly. So we see that Riven is there. Oh, now's our opportunity. Drop in. Boom. Help out. See if we can nuke her. And there you go. Didn't even get a scratch. You're in, you're out. You're in, and you're out. Poof. Nada. Nothing. No Kha'Zix exist. No hablo inglés. And then just fucking get out of there. So, with that being said, guys, it's clear right now that we are taking very good control of, what's it called? We're taking a lot of good control with, the mid game. It's heading there. So, I want to get active camouflage because I want to be able to fight Riven straight up. I'd like to be able to fight, you know, anybody else straight up, you know, maneuvering around. I'm not really jumping places because it's not getting to that point yet, which is nice, which is extremely nice. So the next item I want is Black Cleaver because, damn almighty, that just really does a shitload of damage, which is great. People say Trinity Force. If you think Trinity Force is a thing, by all means, go for it. But right now the standard build that they have for Kha'Zix in place with the Riot thing it's actually pretty decent. I like it. And whether it may go into late game or not, hold on. Watch carefully, okay? You kind of see this group getting absolutely, you know, buck wild. We want to wait. Wait it out. Don't do anything too stupid or foolish. We want the Riven. Oh. Drop on in. Vayne is doing a lot of damage. Boom. We just cleaned out a whole lot of them. Now we're going to take Dragon. Late game, you become more of like a fighter-esque sort of deal. You want to make sure that anytime a target is alone in late game, because they start grouping up a lot, they, like, you see that Crab kind of by himself sort of deal. It's kind of like that in team fights. It's really hard to explain. They have to practically pack up to really make sure that the Q doesn't count for anything. But it's not hard to get the isolation damage. And with the Black Cleaver, it's really nice being able to, like, peel into that armor and then using Q. It's so godly. So we see that there's a red, and we're going to go ahead and take that. The Ravenous Hydra is working for me. You don't work for the Ravenous Hydra, it works for you. So we see that there's 3 bot. I am a little bit low on mana, so it's not the best idea to go ahead and engage or whatever like that. I will W to slow them down a little bit. See? Right there. You see how they were still kind of packed, but not really? And when I said that they couldn't escape, because now she's in my range. So at this point, you know, it's learning to time things as well. And, you know, pick them off if you can. You gotta have to hope that your teammates can really kind of pull through with you and make sure that they're following up on ganks and, like, all that kind of jazz, you know what I'm saying? But when you do get to that point where you're able to be a full-fledged badass fighter, you can kind of see where Kha'Zix can go if he snowballs. And the only reason I snowballed is because, again, I waited for the right opportunity to gank, which does take practice outside of Kha'Zix, just any jungler in particular, and went for it. So hopefully everybody can kind of get that, like, that mindset. If you're fighting someone like Udyr or somebody who can, like, really kind of stun lock you, I wouldn't recommend fighting them. That's kind of a bad thing, because Kha'Zix is very susceptible to any kind of CC, like, you know, a Kha'Zix E-ing, or not a Kha'Zix E-ing, a Udyr E-ing, what's another one? Jarvan knocking up. So if you're picking Kha'Zix, your goal is about lane. And they surrendered, 10-0. I think that's a pretty healthy score. It's nice. Everything worked out in the end. So everybody can kind of see where that's going a little bit. You know what? I feel like, for some reason, maybe that's not enough proof. So this is what I'm prepared to do. I'm going to go ahead and throw in yet another sample of my games, just so you know this isn't a one-hit wonder. Now, this is another match that I actually played. I did die a little bit. It's unfortunate, you know, circumstances, but hey, you know, that's all part of being Kha'Zix. But it's not how you get messed up, it's how you mess them up. So you can see I just kind of went in there, no consequence. I'm still coming after it. I know that they're not really as isolated, but I just want to start hitting them, because at this point, I already have Black Cleaver and Ravenous Hydra. So in a way, we are continuing with the build where we left off. W the whore. Didn't even know. She's like, what the hell? Spikes came out of my dick. Just like out of nothing. I'm like, dude, I shot it off. But just from the W alone, okay, from the W, there's a lot of damage. And to this day, I don't understand why people don't really value Kha'Zix as kind of that, not so much an assassin, but an opportunistic kind of duelist. And I say duelist because he really kind of does oh so perfect on a 1v1 kind of scale. I mean 2v1 unless you're absolutely just like wrecking face, but that won't be too it won't be too difficult. So Swain died. Let's go ahead and scope this out a little bit right here. I don't want to walk into something that I'm going to regret. He's right there. I'm not going to go for it. It just seems kind of pointless. Let's kind of let's bring them on out. You know, come on out here, Azir. I want to show you something real quick. Come on, buddy. Come on out here. Who's a good birdie emperor? You're the best birdie emperor. Just kidding. Right there. And there was a group of people too. They could have just hit me, whatever. But again, it's the one-hit wonder kind of in, out. Why would I even say all those nerds? That's fucked up, man. So fucked up, man. So, and just letting everybody know right now, I don't build all damage, okay? That's just not something that, you know, I recommend. The problem is, why I say this is because if you're all damage, you're pretty kind of, like, soft. Somebody will come and find you, and they will beat you over the head with whatever kind of CC group team comp thing they got, and it will hurt. But I want to make sure that the damage is on top of them, and then once I hit the cream of the crop, the absolute leader of the team in terms of, like, damage and, you know, taking that opportunity, I want to build tanky. Preferably a Randuin's Omen because of the armor, the slow. It's pretty much good for you because you have a lot of damage behind you. And if they try to run from you or even hit you, they're not going to do as well because you're just going to sustain it back. With your W, your Ravenous, like Lifesteal, your regen, it's pretty wonderful. And like the Nocturne guide, if you haven't watched it already, I'd highly recommend it. You can see that, like, crabs are a very vital part of jungling. So, right here. Gonna jump over, shoot. And he was alone. Which is great. I'm glad the team was able to catch up with him, but you can kind of see the E as to why that's important. I can get from one place to another in a snap. And it's wonderful. And in this match, I believe... Yes, I maxed out W because I know that there's going to be a lot more poking involved. And it's really good because I'm able to get, like, a much larger slow. Chances are because they started running away a lot, and that's something that's just kind of like, nah, dog, can't run from me. Alright, so check this out. I'm going to build into the Last Whisper because it does a lot of damage. And then buy a Home Guard, and off I go! Go invisible so they can't see. And kill her. Some of you saw this in the beginning of the video. I just wanted to stress this point, how bad I feel for this Morgana. Boom. Had nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. The mobility is phenomenal. Gold is still high because I'm able to get those kills, but also because of the kills, I'm able to farm a lot faster jungler. It's like one thing will affect another. If I farm great, I'm going to hit them pretty hard and get kills and then get gold. If I kill them a lot, I'm going to get items to go into jungle and get more money and then, you know, rinse and repeat. So, in a way, fundamentally, Kha'Zix is sort of a counterbalance, or not a counterbalance, he is a balance. Alright, so we see Zed, and, oh, but Zed is gonna mess you up! He has no Spidey, don't do it! Don't! He's gonna kick you in the teeth! And then I ult. Couldn't even find me for that split second, or I believe I ulted, but still, how fast he's able to do damage. He did a lot more faster damage than fucking Zed, and that's pretty scary if you ask me, because Zed ain't a pushover. Zed will come find you, and he will stick shurikens where they're not allowed. But Kha'Zix is like, nah, dog. So, at this point, I have 2 pen items, which is really good. The damage coming from the Ravenous. So I say, at this point, it's good, you're fine, you're ahead of the curve. Go ahead and get a Randuin's Omen, and at some point, it's your choice between a Banshee's Veil or a Guardian Angel. And I don't believe I get the Guardian Angel. I might. Because a Banshee's if they try to, like, lock you down, but they're not focusing on you. Or a Guardian's Angel because you know that they're just going to focus you and nothing more. That they just flat out don't care about you at all. Period. Nada. None. Oh, we can see them. Run away. Invisible. He's like, where the fuck are you? Boom. That invisibility alone just saved me. He could have just kept autoing me till the cows come home, put me 6 feet under. That didn't happen because he came over and he was like looking around. You saw him moving around. You saw him. He kept moving left and right like the fuck you go. And I popped on out. He's already isolated. Boom, boom. Q auto. Q auto. The damage is insane with Kha'Zix. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm hitting that perfect amount of, you know, kind of like an off tank, if you will. But at the same time, I'm also doing a lot of damage. So now I know it's a very beautiful time to get Baron because we do in fact have the damages to go through here and get that done. His Q is hitting for such a tremendous amount. It's hitting so freaking hard. It's great. So now we have 417. Fucking damn. Got my Randuins. And I just like to move it into a particular spot. So now we got everything that we need. And we're going to keep the boots of mobility, actually, because it's really good to kind of run around the map. It's not like Udyr, who might get boots of mobility and then get a Merc Treads later. I mean, you can if you want, if you're going that kind of, like, off-tank sort of deal. But the problem is that, like, you want to be in position for when they're alone. I'll give you an example. Everybody's just, hold on to your genitalia. Watch this. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think that you were at a Houdini concert? Nah, dog. You're watching the Kha'zix guide. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And it's pretty entertaining what happens between him and Rengar in a game. So now we have movement. Our momentum is running high. Our morale is doing absolutely perfect. It's great. They're kind of running back. They don't want to mess with us right now. It's a pretty scary situation if you ask me. But hey, would you be scared if there was a 19-3 Kha'zix waiting somewhere in the jungle? Hell, I would be. I wouldn't even mess with him. Oh, let's go ahead and focus him. Then I'll just sell off the jungle item, go get Guardian Angel. Then what are you going to do? And I don't need much magic resist because, let's be honest here, most of their shit is a skill shot, which I can avoid. And it's wonderful. The poke in action, just poking them, not messing with them. Azir's alone. We're just gonna go invisible. And he ran off, that's fine. Totally okay with that. And you gotta pick your battles, so we're gonna go ahead and kinda lead them on. Maybe we can catch them off position. Later! Oh, we have just enough health. He's alone. And he just does not want a piece of it at all. He ain't even having it. He's running. He's like, nope. But then the Sona happened. So, in late game, and I think this is a great example of late game, you're kind of enjoying the fruit of your labor. You're just going to go ahead and just, like, with that right there, boom, she's not messing with you. She can just run, she can do whatever she wants. That's it. You do way too much damage to, you know, make it even matter. I mean, this is pretty much how a Kha'zix should be run. In a way where you can kind of know when to go versus when you shouldn't go. Unlike Jarvan or Maokai as tank junglers, you're just like, oh, well, I'm just going to dive on in. It doesn't matter what happens to me. Ultimately, you provided something that the team needs, which is damage. And team damage is always a beautiful thing. So with that being said, guys, I hope everybody can understand how Kha'zix works as a jungler. Because, seriously, Kha'zix is a very, you know, he's kind of a mystery champion for people. You talk about him, and it's like that one ex-girlfriend you just don't talk about. Or if you're a female watching this, ex-boyfriend kind of deal, whatever. People just don't really talk about him as much. Unless you're Night Blue, in which case, damn. But, like I said, guys, this is what Kha'zix is about. It's being able to catch them off guard, and it's very good that you learn how to do this too as a jungler, because it will teach you about how to catch off your opponents and then really kind of take advantage of your abilities so that way they're caught out and they'll fall flat on their face. So, I think I've said enough for the Kha'zix guide. Hopefully that's enough information for you guys. If you have any opinions, comments, or questions, whatever like that, leave it down below. You know, it's whatever. We're here because we want to have a good time, and maybe, just maybe, you're going to do so much better with Kha'zix because of it. I don't know. If it works out, let me know. If it didn't, let me know. I'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the Kha'zix guide. This was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of hard work going into this, so hopefully you guys like it. If you don't, that's fine. I'm not going to make the choices for you. It's all good. I also make other videos like League of Legends videos and other games that I like. Also, I want to thank my dear friend Mortal Fool, IGN Mortal Fool, for helping me out with this guide. And I especially want to thank Antent Music for making the soundtrack that you're listening to right now. Go to the description below for his SoundCloud to listen more of his sweet tracks. Thank you everyone so much for your time, your opportunities, and it's been truly a wonderful experience to be able to make these videos for you guys. And if you guys have any suggestions for the next guide, go ahead and put that sucker down in the comments, and etc, etc. So thank you guys so much once again. Beautiful, and I will see you guys next time.